precious gold, glittering gemstones, and fertile soil that nurture life and promise prosperity. Yet, lurking amidst these treasures is a grave danger: illegal mining, a malignant threat that wreaks havoc on our precious environment. Illegal mining ravages Taraba's beautiful landscapes as reckless miners dig deep holes carelessly, leaving behind gaping pits that scar the earth, while toxic pollutants from these unlawful activities seep into and contaminate our vital rivers, streams, and water sources, posing severe risks to humans, wildlife, and entire ecosystems. It is on this note that the Taraba State Governor, Dr. Abuke First, constituted the Anti-Illegal Mining Task Force to regulate the illegal mining activities. Legal mining conducted responsibly under strict regulations unlocks myriad benefits for Taraba State. Legal mining creates much-needed jobs, empowering youths and families, catalyzes infrastructure development as mining revenues help build vital schools where children learn bright futures, construct hospitals where citizens access quality healthcare, and improve roads enhancing connectivity. Therefore, a crucial clarion call resounds across Taraba, especially to our revered traditional and religious leaders who custodially lead communities and different faiths to rise magnanimously to this environmental challenge. We urgently appeal to traditional and religious leaders to sensitize their subjects diligently about the grave dangers of illegal mining, educate them on benefits of legal mining, and crucially blow the whistle courageously whenever illegal mining activities are spotted in villages, towns, or rural areas to this number 080-6608-1020. Do not be found wanting. Tarabans, let's join hands resolutely, saying a loud and clear no to illegal mining while championing legal sustainable mining practices. Let us zealously protect Taraba's land, for it is truly our invaluable life. This message is brought to you by SP Jamu Emmanuel, Commander of Strike Force and Anti-Mining Activities.
Ubangiji ya albarkaci jihar Taraba da walwalcin ƙasar noma ga kuma ɗimbin albarkatun ƙasa bila adadin. Sai dai irin waɗannan dukkanin abinda Ubangiji ya samar domin samar da kyakkyawar fata ga jihar ta Taraba, ana samun wasu munanan ɗabi'u na sare dazuzzuka da tone-tonen ramumuka domin
Good afternoon and welcome to Som TV World News. I am Abraham Mainajuda. Tonight we bring you top global stories shaping politics, diplomacy and security, from Guinea's political turning point to growing fears of partition in Gaza, Russia's advance in Ukraine, and renewed calls for action in Mali. Let's begin with development from South Africa, where a former coup leader has just been cleared to run for president. In Guinea, the Supreme Court has approved the country's junta leader, Mamadi Doumbouya, and 8 others to contest the upcoming December 28 presidential elections. Doumbouya, who seized power in 2021, has initially pledged not to run, but a new constitution passed in September paved the way for his candidacy. The move has drawn mixed reactions. Supporters say it ensures continuity and stability, while critics argue it undermines the promised transition to civilian rule. Doumbouya faced relatively low-profile opponents, including former Minister Abdoulaye Yero Baldi and opposition figure Faya Milimodo, as key rivals remain disqualified under new eligibility rules. Observers say the December election will test Guinea's commitment to democracy amid growing regional instability. Still in West Africa, the African Union is sounding the alarm over Mali's worsening insurgency crisis. Chairperson Mahmoud Ali Yusuf has called for urgent global action after jihadists linked to Al-Qaeda, known as the NMI, imposed a devastating fuel blockade and kidnapped several foreigners. The blockade has crippled schools, hospitals, and businesses across Mali since September, forcing widespread shutdown. The AU is urging international partners, including ECOWAS and United Nations, to enhance intelligence sharing, humanitarian aid, and security cooperation in the Sahel region. Mali's junta leader, Assimi Goïta, has faced criticism for withdrawing from ECOWAS and aligning more closely with Russia. As jihadist attacks intensify in the north, the situation remained there, with reports of at least 48 soldiers killed in recent fighting in Timbuktu's Sumpi region. In Europe, former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has been released from Le Santé prison in Paris pending appeal. The 70-year-old ex-leader served just 3 weeks of a 5-year sentence for allegedly raising campaign funds from Libya during his 2007 presidential run. A Paris court ruled he could await his appeal under supervision, citing no flight risk. Sarkozy, who insists he is innocent, described his prison experience as tough and humiliating, but thanked prison staff for their professionalism. He remains banned from leaving France or contacting witnesses until the appeal trial begins in March 2026. It marks the first time since World War II that a French ex-president has served prison time, a stark moment in the country's political history. Over to East Africa, where tensions are running high in Tanzania following the arrest of Amani Golugwa, Deputy Secretary General of the main opposition party, Chadema. Golugwa and 9 others were detained after violent post-election protests that left scores dead and public property destroyed. Chadema claims over 1,000 people were killed, a figure the government disputes as exaggerated. The unrest followed President Samia Suluhu Hassan's landslide victory, winning 98% of the vote, amid allegations of massive electoral fraud. The African Union criticized the election as not credible, citing ballot stuffing and voter suppression. Authorities have charged 145 opposition supporters with treason, a move Chadema calls an attempt to cripple dissent. The international community is urging restraints and dialogue to prevent further escalation. In Ukraine, Russian forces have pushed further into strategic city of Kupiansk, capturing rail stations and oil depot on the city's eastern edge. The offensive, involving an estimated 150,000 troops, is part of Moscow's broader attempt to encircle Kupiansk and Pokrovsk, two logistical hubs. Ukraine's military, however, insists that Russian claims of control are exaggerated, saying their troops successfully repelled multiple attacks. The humanitarian toll continues to rise, with civilians evacuated amid intense shelling and power outages. Ukraine's top commander, Alexander Syrsky, has warned that the coming weeks could prove decisive as Russia intensifies its push for territorial gains ahead of winter. And in related news, Ukraine's southern Odessa region has suffered fresh Russian drone attacks, damaging energy and transport infrastructure. At least one person was injured, and several energy facilities caught fire, forcing emergency centers to rely on generators. Governor Ole Kipa confirmed that 132 drones were launched overnight, 88 of which were intercepted. The attack underscores Russia's continued efforts to cripple Ukraine's power grid as winter approaches. A move, analyst says, aims to break public morale. Ukraine has called for stronger international sanctions on Moscow as repair crew race to restore essential services. Now, turning to the Middle East, Iran says it remains open to a peaceful nuclear deal with the United States, but will not compromise on its national security interests. Deputy Foreign Minister Saeed Khatibzadeh accused Washington of sending contradictory messages through intermediaries, stalling talks since June flare-up between Iran and Israel. The U.S. continues to demand a halt to uranium enrichment, while Iran maintains its program is strictly for civilian purposes. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has ruled out any negotiation under threat. Former U.S. President Donald Trump U.S. President Donald Trump said he remains open to a hand of cooperation with Iran, though both sides remain deeply divided. Global Observer warns that without progress soon, regional tensions could escalate further. And there's also growing concern over the future of Gaza as diplomatic sources warn of a potential de facto partition between Israel-controlled and Hamas-held areas. According to European officials, Israel now controls more than half of Gaza, leaving nearly 2 million displaced Palestinians confined to the remaining section. The US-backed post-ceasefire plan, which was to include Israeli withdrawal, Hamas disarmament, and a multinational peacekeeping force, are stalled amid deep disagreements. Hamas refused to disarm, Israel rejects the Palestinian Authority's involvement, and international actors are hesitant to commit troops. Experts warn that prolonged division could entrench humanitarian suffering and shatter hopes of Palestine statehood. Jordan's foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, reaffirmed that Gaza is one and part of occupied Palestinian territory. The US and Israel have yet to confirm reconstruction details as the world watches what could be a defining moment for Middle East peace. Now let's go to the southeast of Asia, where Malaysia and Thai authorities have resumed search operations for missing Rohingya refugees after a deadly boat sinking near the Thailand-Malaysia border. The vessel carried around 70 people fleeing persecution in Myanmar capsized earlier this week. So far, 13 survivors have been rescued and 12 bodies recovered. Among them are 2 children. Rescue teams are expanding the operation around Thailand's goal to Roa Tau Island. This incident underscores the perilous route taken by Rohingya refugees in search of safety. Rights groups, including Amnesty International, have urged ASEAN countries to stop pushing boats away and instead guarantee safe passage. According to the United Nations Refugee Agency, more than 5,100 Rohingya has attempted the sea routes since January, with nearly 600 dead or missing. Myanmar continues to deny allegations of persecution, calling the Rohingya illegal migrants. Now to climate diplomacy, Ethiopia has been selected to host the COP32 Climate Summit in 2027. The decision was reached in principle during the ongoing COP30 conference in Brazil. Addis Ababa beat Nigeria's bid to host the summit after receiving strong backing from the Bureau of African countries. President Haile Selassie said Ethiopia has the capacity, facilities, and connectivity to hold the world's largest environmental meeting. This decision is expected to boost Ethiopia's global standing and climate diplomacy, but it also brings increased scrutiny of its domestic environmental record. Hosting COP32 will give the country a unique opportunity to attract investment and showcase sustainable development strategies, reaffirming Africa's growing voice in global climate conversations. In South Africa, a corruption scandal of explosive proportion is rocking the nation. The Madlanga Commission, a high-level inquiry led by former Constitutional Court Judge Mbuyiseli Madlanga, is uncovering alleged links between top government officials, police officers, and a powerful criminal network known as the Big Five Cartel. The crisis escalated after whistleblower and businessman Bram Mogotsi survived an assassination attempt in Gauteng. His vehicle was sprayed with 11 bullets. Mogotsi claims he was targeted for planning to testify about the cartel's deep influence within the justice system. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu has been placed on special leave amid accusations of a cover-up, and President Cyril Ramaphosa said the revelation threatened public confidence in law enforcement. Observers are drawing parallels with the Zondo Commission that exposed state capture under former President Jacob Zuma. But the question remains, will there finally be accountability? Now over to East Africa. Tanzania's political temperature is cooling slightly after authorities released 4 senior opposition leaders on bail. The leaders, members of the Chadema party, has been arrested over deadly protests following the country's disputed general elections. The opposition claimed over 1,000 people were killed during the unrest, a figure the government disputes. Among those released is Chadema's vice chairman, John Heche, who has faced terrorism charges. Party leader Tundu Lissu, however, remains in custody on charges of treason. President Samia Suluhu Hassan's administration has been accused of repressing dissent, but Monday's releases may signal the beginning of dialogue. Regional observers, including the African Union, continue to call for reforms and reconciliation. While this is a shocking story from Mali, where popular TikTok influencer Mariam Cisse has been abducted and executed by armed militants. Cisse, who has nearly 100,000 followers, was known for her passionate videos supporting the Malian army. She was taken by gunmen while live streaming at a market in Tonka, and her body was found the next day. Authorities suspect Al-Qaeda-linked militants, though no group has claimed responsibility. A murder has sparked outrage across Mali, while the military government is already struggling to contain jihadist violence. The UN has condemned the killing, calling for justice and protection for citizens expressing patriotic views. Cisse's online presence continues to inspire young Malians who view as a symbol of courage and resistance. In the Middle East, Lebanon has released Hannibal Gaddafi, the youngest son of the late Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, after almost 10 years in detention without trial. Gaddafi was adopted in Syria in 2015 and handed over to Lebanese authorities, accused of withholding information about the 1978 disappearance of Shiite cleric Imam Musa al-Sadr. He was only 2 years old when the cleric vanished. His release came after Libya's government of national unity paid $900,000 in bail. The decision has been described as a diplomatic breakthrough aimed at improving relationship between the two countries. Hannibal Gaddafi's current destination remains undisclosed, though reports suggest South Africa has agreed to host him temporarily. The mystery of Imam al-Sadr's disappearance, however, remains unresolved. Egyptians has begun voting in the first phase of the country's parliamentary elections, with pro-government parties expected to dominate. The Nationalists for Egypt coalition, strongly aligned with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is projected to secure most of the 596 seats under the hybrid electoral system. Opposition figures say the process marginalizes dissenting voices, but the government maintains it ensures gender and minority representation. Turnout remained low, with many voters reportedly unaware of the candidates they are voting for. Final results are expected by December 25, setting the stage for Egypt's political direction beyond 2030. And in diplomatic news, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has cancelled his scheduled visit to Kenya following President Donald Trump's decision to withdraw Americans' participation from the G20 summit in South Africa. The White House cited alleged human rights abuses against South Africa's white Afrikaner minority, a claim the South African government firmly denies. Kenya, disappointed by the cancellation, insisted that bilateral relationship remains strong and that trade negotiations will continue. The visit was meant to reinforce trade ties and finalize a pending U.S.-Kenya trade agreement by year's end. And finally tonight, Duduzile Zuma Sumbudla, daughter of former South African President Jacob Zuma, has pleaded not guilty to charges of inciting violence during the Delhi 2021 riots. Prosecutors say that social media posts fueled unrest that left over 300 people dead and caused billions in damage. Her father was present in court as the trial began in Durban. The case continues tomorrow. And that's Psalm TV World News for today. A reminder, you can follow our verified handles across all platforms for updates and analysis. You can follow us on Facebook, at Psalm TV, on YouTube at Psalm TV Live. I am Abraham Joda. Thank you for watching. And remember, in a world divided by power, truth remains our strongest bridge.